Hello, my name is TJ and I am the slowly sinking missionary, and welcome to my brand new channel. Well, for obvious reasons, my real name and my exact location will stay vague, not just for my safety, but for the safety of those that I work with. Well, you may be asking yourself, why is this channel called the Slowly Sinking Missionary? Well, first off, because I was told I shouldn't call it the Failing Missionary. And second, I wanted a name that reflected the reality of ministry. And if any missionary ever tells you that they have it all together, then they are either lying or just plain deluded. And as I was putting this project together, I was reminded of the interaction between Peter and Jesus in Matthew 14. Peter and the disciples are in their boat during a storm, and in the midst of the panic and the chaos, Jesus just walks out to them. And Peter asks Jesus to tell him to come out of the boat to him. So Jesus does, and Peter sets off, but then gets this reality check and realizes what he is actually doing, and he starts to sink, and then shouts out, "Lord, save me." And of course, Christ saves him, but then chastises him for his lack of faith. The thing that sticks out to me is that it's Peter who asks to be called out into the water, but then as he really takes a look at his situation, his eyes and his thoughts are pulled away from Christ. And as he does this, he starts to sink. And I wonder if Peter thought to himself as he started to sink there, why on earth did I tell Jesus to call me out here? What was I thinking? And as I stood outside my Soviet-era apartment block the day that I moved to Central Asia, and on several occasions since that moment, I have shared this sentiment. What was I thinking? Why did I ask for this? But the good thing is that the story doesn't end with Peter disappearing under the waves, but with his rescue and a sharp reminder from Jesus that we can truly and wholly trust him. If we ask him to call us somewhere, he will sustain us, he will uphold us, and he will stop us from sinking. And this is the lesson that I'm learning daily. And it's sometimes easy, and sometimes definitely through gritted teeth. Well, I arrived on the field just over 2 years ago, and with that milestone has come a lot of reflection, not just on my time here so far, but also the journey that led me to moving overseas. And I realized that I wish there had been some sort of guide or someone else's experiences that I could fall back on to help me prepare for everything that I was just about to go through. Sure, there are some amazing biographies of some incredible missionaries throughout history, and there are some really good books that helped me to think clearly about the message that I was carrying with me, the type of messenger that I wanted to be, and the community that I was going to serve. And there will be some links below to some helpful resources. And I don't doubt that there are countless resources that I'm yet to discover. But all these books, all these resources that I did look through, they didn't prepare me for the day that I spent in bed eating crisps, watching crap TV, because I felt like an abject failure. Or the guilt of not feeling homesick. Or the moment of panic when you realize that every penny that you spend has been given by wonderfully generous supporters. So should I be really spending it the way that I do? Would I really want a spreadsheet of every penny that I spend going out to all my supporters? Well, all that to say, I wish I could have had a glimpse into my own future, just to give me some sort of jump on the countless surprises that were awaiting me. So I thought the next best thing that I can do is to document my experiences and hopefully other people's too. The good, the bad, the really high highs, and the embarrassingly low lows, and be as brutally honest as possible. I hope that by doing all these things as a video series instead of a blog or, heaven forbid, a book, which genuinely would never come out, it brings a level of realness and humanity to it, and mean that I can really paint a clearer and fuller picture of my experiences and the things that I'd wish I'd known before setting out on this chapter of my life. I hope these videos will make you think, make you smile, maybe even laugh, but above all, remind you that no matter where you are, whatever your current situation, that we are all called to serve and to love the communities that we find ourselves in, and to share the wonderful, life-giving, restorative news of Jesus. Well, I really do want to be as honest as possible and to offer real glimpses into life as an overseas missionary. But I don't want to be disheartening or discouraging, because there are lots of days I will be doing something normal and once again be hit with the craziness that just over 2 years ago I was living a fairly normal life in the UK. And 2 years prior to that, the idea of me becoming a missionary was laughable. And when I have these moments, I genuinely smile and I realize how thankful I am for the amazing opportunity that God has given me to be here and to serve. Well, as I was preparing and fundraising for moving abroad, I was fortunate to have another person doing exactly the same thing, but going to a different part of the world with different challenges and different opportunities. And for the benefit of this story, let's call her Ruth. Well, Ruth and I have extremely different stories and wildly different paths leading to this point in our lives, but we found ourselves preparing to go onto the field weeks apart from each other. And our methods of preparation also were quite different. I'd often find her at her desk at the church office with flashcards of the language that she was learning prior to going out. Whereas me as a pragmatic, I was far more focused on the practicalities and the big picture. And I'll go into much more deep into this story in a later video explaining some of the misconceptions that people have of missionary work. But I thought I'd share a little story of what happened to us a couple of months before leaving the UK. So we were invited to visit a smaller church not far from the church we both attended to share a bit of our plans and ask for some support. Well, we arrived and we sat through the service, and then we were both given our individual chances to share our stories. And then after the service, there was a lunch giving people a better opportunity to chat with us more in depth. And from my perspective, this all went quite well, with people asking to join my mailing list, as well as being offered lots of sandwiches and cups of tea. But after a while, I'd noticed that Ruth started to give me some slightly strange looks. So once we'd eaten sandwiches and drank tea and chatted with everyone, we got back on the road. And Ruth finally explained those strange looks. It turned out that while being offered something for dessert, an older member of the congregation had asked her, "Oh, would your husband like something else?" Well, let's get this straight. Ruth and I were not just headed to different countries, but different continents. We had both talked about it in our presentations, yet someone of the congregation thought that we were married. And I remember laughing and saying something along the lines of, "They must really think we don't like each other if we're moving long-term to a different part of the world." Happily, this error was corrected quickly, and it became a running joke that she was my M wife and I was her M husband. Well, one of the reasons I tell this story is because of this. This lovely lady had all the clues in front of her. Different last names, no wedding rings, different sending organizations, very different destinations, but somehow had managed to make up her assumptions about us. And I know that throughout my life, I made so many assumptions about being a missionary and the work entailed. The signs were right in front of us. It's just that sometimes we don't know where to look. They may be obvious to some, but missed by others. And I hope that this video series will give us a glimpse into missionary life and all its ups and downs, and make it just that little bit easier to spot the false assumptions that we may have. So please consider subscribing, giving this video a like, and sharing it with people who may find it helpful. And join me on this journey of asking Jesus to call us out of the boat. Well, thanks for watching. I've been TJ. May God bless you and the rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.